There are a lot of things happening in Pakistan. Baluchistan has its own dynamics. The number of people getting killed in KPK and Baluchistan, every day 3 to 4 people are being knocked off. There's some incident or the other. Um, it's quite apparent that this the army has lost control over large parts of the area west of Indus.
Hmm.
Notionally, it says it has, but I don't think the writ of the nation runs in every corner of this, their own nation. The second thing is that it's very funny. 10 years back, or 50, no, I won't say 10 years back. I go back to my younger days as a major and a captain. Pakistan used to regularly beat us in Sharjah and in cricket, and it was going against the run of the mill if India had to get a victory there. Today, it regularly gets beaten by everyone, not India, everyone. Yesterday, you look at Afghanistan in contrast. Afghanistan just wiped out, or just, it was a tough match, but it blanked out England. Now, there's a difference. I mean, the way I look at it, the strength of the nation gets reflected in sports, or whatever is happening in sports gets reflect is a outflow of the strength of the nation. And here you have a nation which I think has weakened and is heading towards failure. It failed, but beyond failure. So it is in this context, with the current situation and the fact that Brigadier Sahgal has been involved in track two dialogue. I thought, let him tell us and educate us about that, and then we will do India's dual strategy. So this whole talk will be in, or discussion will be in, two parts. Even if it takes a little more time, we'll go ahead with it. So first, I request, like we discussed, your views about where Pakistan is heading. That's the first part. First question I have, and then what is the sense you get from the track two dialogue interaction you had with all these your counterparts
Thank you
there?
very much, sir.
All yours, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a, I, in about 10 to 15 minutes, I'll try and share with you my thoughts on what I pick up from this track two dialogue, which I've been part of for last over a decade now. I want to share with the viewers my views, my perceptions. You may agree, you may not agree, you're absolutely welcome to it, but I'll share with you what is it. This dialogue is in three parts I want to highlight. We have the military part, we have the nuclear part, and then we have the Kashmir part, or now we call it the political dialogue. So we have been having the normal dialogues and normal to and fro acquisition, counter acquisitions have been is the norm as would be expected in a dialogue like this. But as the general pointed out regarding the cricket and the mood of the people, there is a sense of insecurity and disappointment which is looming large in the action attitudes of the Pakistanis. They are looking for straws. They two three things are important to understand. One is that, rightly said, there is a political dysfunctionality in the country. Second thing is economically, although things are slightly looking up, but they are still out of control. Recently, the 20 plus $20 billion World Bank, uh, not loan, a facility which is being provided to Pakistan, looks to be a good this thing. And Shehzad Sharif has to go to China to get some more money for the Pakistanis. But the question is, basically the perception is the country is being sold out and there is no development taking place. There's a sense of despondency which is emerging over there. And Despite all this, particularly within the military leadership, and there are about 4 or 5 generals who come for the dialogue, who are all very deeply ensconced in the system, as well as the diplomats. There is this sense of trying to achieve moral and physical equivalence with India. They are willing to spend their crown jewels towards this. But having said that, they are also conscious of the fact that India at this point in time has little traction to deal with Pakistan. The fundamental point of that issue is very simple, which we try to convey to the Pakistanis is very clear. You have to stop this Kashmir bogie, and we must have big ticket items which are helpful in kickstarting our relationship. It cannot be religious terrorism or religious tourism. It cannot be bans. It cannot be visit to each other's NDCs, etc. It has to be, even if we're talking about trade, it cannot be bilateral trade alone. Trade has to be of a much higher amount, because what will be bilateral trade? We'll have $5 billion, $10 billion. That's nothing. It has to be a transit through Pakistan. It has to be to deal with we looking at the facilities which are coming up in Pakistan and to be exploited jointly in once we have a certain degree of understanding and coherence in our relationship. In short, there has to be a greater degree of regional integration between India and Pakistan to move the thing forward. And one ultimate aim of point in this whole thing is this whole bogey of terrorism has to stop. Now, interestingly, the Pakistani political leaders and more importantly the military generals understand this. For the first time, they have accepted the fact that the Kashmir is losing traction. We are not going to get anywhere on Kashmir. India can manage the internal despondency, I mean, internal elements in Kashmir. In fact, the internal situation in Kashmir are raised more by Indian interlocutors who have this certain degree of of they have a certain degree of
Nostalgia.
nostalgia with Kashmir. But the question basically is, as far as the Pakistanis are concerned, they are acknowledging the fact that focus on Kashmir has been a messed up strategy. And they're also now, for the first time, acknowledging the fact that why to talk about Indian Kashmir, our own dealing with our own Kashmir, so which they call an Azad Kashmir, and the Gilgit Baltistan and the northern areas and other areas have been despicable. We are not even given them self governance. It is being run by a joint secretary in the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and that's the kind of this thing. And we keep raising it up whenever we want to create the bogey. So this is the general perception. But there are two issues which have become very important. I mean, which are the cause of concern. One is the statement coming from India, particularly Raksha Mantri statement and the subsequent statement by our army chief, which have been blown out of proportion by the Pakistanis, and the counter by the Pakistani army chief, who said that not three, but we can fight 10 wars with India if it's so required, which is the rhetorical statement made in Azad Kashmir, and the chief minister of Azad Kashmir situation that we should start sending terrorists once again in larger numbers. While these are just statements, but these are taken seriously by the elements who are mischievous and who are trying to create, trouble in Indian Kashmir and also against the present government in Pakistan. Therefore, I am not too sure this coming summer we might see some incidents of violence which will further uh, create tensions between us and spoil our relationships. I cannot see. On the issue of Article 370 and abrogation, there is no there is no stomach left in Pakistan on this issue. The only issue now is that having in a huff withdrawn their high commissioners, the problem for the Pakistanis is how to revert to status quo ante, but without losing face. Now, this is an issue which is they are willing to swap high commissioners. They are ready to do swap high commissioners, but they are not ready to. I mean, do it carte blanche. There have to be a conditions created. Now, what kind of conditions are created? Uh, there was a hope that there might be a pull aside when external affairs minister went to Pakistan for SCO meeting. That did not happen. There were perceptions that if there is a cricket is restored,
Diplomacies.
the cricket diplomacy is restored, then the two sides may be able to build up on that to build relationship. Even that has not happened. So there are basically a dilemmas that they are facing on this issue. The second issue is, like I mentioned earlier also, there's a despondency emerging about the situation in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. They are now looked at near abroad rather than part of the integral part of the Pakistani territory. They are becoming no-go areas, like we discussed in a CASA podcast
On
2 days
Balochistan.
back on Balochistan. Balochistan is becoming, like somebody said and rightly said, the nights are no longer owned by the Pakistani state. Neither the days are now getting more and more less owned by them. The military is unable to contain violence or the acts of secessionist acts which the Blutis are mounting. The result is that the CPEC projects are suffering. Chinese are unsure, and this is where it is becoming a major economic headache for Pakistan. Uh, on Kashmir, there is one more element which is coming up. Is that is there? There sometimes they talk about two issues. One is the old 4-point formula being considered, and also the as an extension of Bajwa doctrine, and then leading to sometimes they talk about a 15 years, 20 years standstill agreement on Kashmir. These are basically SOPs. These are only conjectural issues which are talked about. But it's important to note is that in their mindset is becoming more defensive rather than offensive in dealing with India, and particularly in its relationship with India. One important factor which our people need to understand is that Bajwa doctrine did not succeed because the military was not on board. The Bajwa doctrine did not succeed because the religious elements within Pakistan and certain elements in the political establishment are the ones who torpedoed it. The military was keen to do it. That's the perception that we were given, and this has been cross-checked. At least I'm very clear that Bajwa was keen to move forward in our relationship, but unfortunately, these elements continue to hold sway in Pakistani politics. The the another disturbing element is strategic stability. Pakistan, as a believes that nuclear weapon is their ultimate security. They are upgrading their arsenal. They are increasing the warhead number of warheads. They are enhancing the warhead designs. More silos are being constructed. The the Hunger class submarines will have tube launched missile capabilities. Whether they what range they get, I presume they will have about 700 or 800 kilometers capability, like based on RAD systems. But the fact of the matter is that China will provide them with second strike capability, and this has to be taken cognizance of. And the second thing is that these Hunger class submarines with nuclear capable submarines are going to get located in Gwadar. And here, like I said in the podcast the other day, there is a huge Sino-Pak collusion in building up a credibility of Pakistani second strike as a part of the Indian containment strategy. And so this is an issue which is not going to go away because Pakistani military leaders believe that this is something which is it is a, a, their social national security issue because they will not compromise on that. Second element is technology. They are getting a huge amount of technology, particularly in terms of the ISR capability, in terms of AI, and in terms of cyber. There are also programs which are being. I am part of another dialogue where we talk about technologies, and I've seen that how Pakistanis are trying to develop even quantum and other technologies. Now, these issues are important. We They are not bothersome, but we need to take cognizance of because enhancement of capabilities is something which we need to be concerned about. So this is, in short, the perceptions of about Pakistan. I can sum it up by saying there is a sense of insecurity. There is an desire to improve relationship with India. They are looking that direct connection, if they do not work, given India's neighborhood troubles or the scenario of the neighborhood, there might be an opportunity to revive SARC. There's a BIMSTEC meeting taking place on 3rd, 4th of April. In they were saying that maybe that we can think in terms of having a SARC element at on the sidelines. Basically, they are finding solutions how to break the logjam, and this is indication of their degree of insecurity. But one thing we have to understand this is that Pakistani political establishment, backed up by military establishment, as far as their own country is concerned, they are not in fully in control. They are they are they are they are in control, but it is something in which the dissonance which is building up rapidly within the country is giving them a lot of sleepless nights. I'll stop here, and if you have any questions, sir, I'll try and answer them.
So you did mention about China in the passing. Uh, did you get a sense that they are being arm twisted by China, or are they willingly into everything with China?
Okay. The answer is very simple. As far as Gwadar and areas are concerned, they are now de facto Chinese territory. Like we said the other day, the announcements on in the Gwadar airport are first made in Chinese language and then in others. The area around Gwadar and area routes approaching out of there are controlled by the Chinese. Chinese are putting up a large number of trade zones. Those are all for Chinese products to be marketed to Middle East and on to Europe and to United States. The idea is the power which is being produced at 23 rupees a kilowatt, which is much beyond, but people cannot pay more than 9 to 10 rupees. So there's a 13 rupees amortization of cost which the Pakistani government cannot afford. So in short, what is happening is the payoffs from the great CPEC investments are not being fully met to the Pakistanis. Number two, the security costs of keeping Chinese happy and smiling and without getting killed are also going up. And third element is there is a growing questioning as to what exactly are the payoffs in terms of jobs and the quality of life that are being felt by the people of Pakistan. So there are a lot of questions being raised. It's it is being kept alive by the Pakistani state more as a leverage to ensure a certain degree of that Pakistan is not arm twisted, particularly at this particular point in time. is also being applied that in future it might be useful of providing Pakistan the desired connectivity that they want, and also that should there India Pakistan some kind of a rapprochement takes place, there is a Chinese presence around which can be a sort of a safeguard to their
The
interest,
backstops.
the backstop. So basically,
Yeah.
China is being used for multiple reasons. The Chinese are very clear that it is a losing enterprise. BRI is not paid the kind of dividends, but the strategic opportunities which this is providing, and the fact of the matter is that with the Indian Ocean region, with a 22, $23 trillion Chinese economy, is becoming a very important gateway for their trade and energy transit. So to them, for that reason alone, these are costs which are worth bearing. So
Yes.
that
The
is
second
the
question, sir. I mean, sorry, sir, but since
no,
it's
no,
triggered,
yeah,
uh, I've done a full study of Gwadar, sir. A very deep insight. Of course, I did a program which doesn't cover many things which came out. Firstly, there's no water there. There's
yes,
simply no water. They have a plan to get water from Tajikistan. And very surprisingly, that plan they've given to Chinese for approval also. So that means there's really no water. There's no electricity out there because I don't see a substation or any electric thing anywhere around. So whatever electricity is being produced in Gwadar is just enough for that naval base and the airport. For the rest, there's nothing. There are no roads. And I don't know if you have ever seen the geography of Gwadar.
I, hmm,
The entire approach into Gwadar goes through the Gwadar city, and the Gwadar city is in the neck of that peninsula, which juts into the thing. So I don't know the efficacy of this whole story because it looks absolutely not, infantile tactics and strategy the way it has been located, deployment. And if you see all aerial maps and satellite maps and all, there's absolutely not a single shed of industry out there. Nothing. You can't. So, given this, there are two issues which come out of this. What is the time frame they're looking at? That's the first part because so far whatever has been spoken is all big talk. There's not a single submarine pen out there. uh, and there's no play this thing. There are a lot of roads and all made, but buildings are not there. Nothing. There's one Pearl Continental hotel, and that's the end of the story. Plus some dockyard repair stuff and all. There's hardly any one ship which comes there once in 5 days, 6 days, 10 days, and that too is also a logistics kind of a ship and nothing more. So, given this, all this, is there a time frame for all realization of these dreams? One, and number two, are the Chinese prepared to put boots on ground? Because I don't think without boots on ground, this Gwadar is going to see the light of the day. And I don't think it's within the capability of Pakistan. In fact, come to think of it, I don't think it's in the capability of even the Chinese chaps to put boots on ground and make Gwadar a success.
okay,
So, I mean,
yeah, sure.
you, I mean, in this context, this is my conviction, right? And I'd like you to uh, respond to that. In the light of this, are we realistic to think that Gwadar will be what it is, second strike capability and all? Because I don't see it happening in the next 10 years.
So Gwadar is a medium term project. It's gonna Chinese are absolutely keen to create Gwadar as to the first outpost of the Chinese Overseas Naval Command.
Yes, that
Again,
there's no doubt.
okay.
That there's no
Number
doubt.
one. Number two, Chinese are also clear that one Augusta class submarine, because of the channels the way they are, it's a deep sea port, can provide a security to this as far as the maritime is concerned. You have raised absolutely important issues regarding water, infrastructure, etc. Those are absolutely important issues. But this is where what the Chinese have done is they have taken over a specified area. I don't remember how many kilometers of area, which is being developed into a primarily a Chinese colony. It's just like if you go to Qatar and other places, you see these American bases which have come up in those deserts. It is
No,
it is a replica. It is they are trying to
that
create a
is so.
replica.
No, if you see the map of Gwadar, that is apparent. beyond the neck of Gwadar, there's a fence. You can see it on the satellite map, and
Yeah, yeah.
anything beyond that is Chinese.
Hmm.
And there's not a single tenement out there.
So,
And
see, what the Chinese are interested in do is that if they have to sail a carrier battle group or a large maritime force into the region, it will need supplies, it will need technical support, it will need loops, it will need all kinds of
uh,
systems. That is where the Gwadar comes into play. They have this place in Djibouti, but it is too far away. So this is the cornerstone or the crown jewel of the Chinese thinking. Whether they will be able to create this, whether they will be able to develop it in the fashion that they are thinking about, is something which we need to keep tracking. I will simply say one thing. When this in Chakfu, the developments were taking place in early 2000, I have written about it that this is going to become a very important Chinese facility. Nobody took us seriously at that time, and we sort of said कि ये नहीं हो सकता, kind of a scenario. Single boy mooring है was a, but they had a single boy mooring, and the VLCC would come and discharge crude. So the same thing they can do. They can create a SBMs, etc., to discharge crude. So my point is that we have to take note of these developments, follow them, and see how much can the Chinese do, and do our own calculations. Strategically, Chinese will not give it up. That's the point we must remember.
that I
How hard it
agree.
is. How hard it is. So it is
So
a facility.
fine. So that means we need to have a clear strategy as to how to deal with Gwadar and how to delay it tactically and strategically,
But not before
and make it
30s. Not before 30s. So we have 5 to 7
30 is
years
too
to do.
far. So 30 is too close. The way I look at it, if you
Hmm.
see what's happened so far, sir, 30 is too close for the kind of picture which they're at least envisioning. I would look at it at somewhere around 35 is the earliest. But then, sir, thanks a lot for this part, because I thought let me put it across to everyone who's watching, and to understand where Pakistan is, where it's likely to go, and how it is struggling, right? And how, despite the outward thing of seeking parity with India, it realizes it can never be at parity with India, and it will slowly, as time passes, it will have to find its own level to understand that India is now too far ahead of the game.